Hi, I'm Russ of AquariumX Pets. Today's video is not only an unboxing of an all-in-one isopod kit, it contains the beginnings of an experiment. This one comes from microvarium.com. Sent me this, Martin sent me this to give it a try, so let's take a look. Here is, oh look at that, they've got permit details for different states with the caution sheet. I like that, it's just on the back there where you can apply the state you need to. It's an efficient way to do it, I like that. And here is an isopod lodge. Let's take a look at this. So this enclosure, as you can see, has been drilled for ventilation and contains what you need to set up a small isopod habitat. Let's take a look. So here's the foundation. This is the substrate mix there. Added calcium, it says there. Got some pieces of cork bark. Oh, I like the small cork ground there. That's pretty cool. And then here it says it comes with a random botanical, so like something to add visual interest that the isopods can still use as a climbing surface and a hide and whatnot. Quite possibly not on. And then a couple of other things. We've got micro grazer green, so one food option there, and then the micro grazer staple. Oh, that's pretty cool. We've got just add isopods and water, and you can actually receive this with isopods. I opted not to because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to put in there, and I have a lot of options. Oh, I like this too. Check that out. It has a place to put the food tray, tells you where to put the sphagnum moss and the micro grazer foundation. Got the instructions right in there. Oh, I like that. Let's take a look at that for a second. So it's got step-by-step instructions. So you can use the botanical or one of the cork pieces as a food tray. Pretty cool. I really like the setup there. So the idea, I think, here is to provide an enclosure and materials for basically a child or anyone who's interested in getting into isopods and wants like a one-stop deal. They have everything they need and they can display them. And even though this is a fairly small enclosure, you could still have a decent number of isopods in there to start with and eventually, move up to something larger, but it's a pretty good way to start. So what I am now contemplating is which species I want to try in here. If you've seen my video on whether or not to keep different isopod species together, which you can check out up here, I discuss the principle of competitive exclusion, which basically states that two populations of different species cannot occupy the same niche at the same time without one eventually gaining an advantage over the other. However, when individuals of different species occupy the same niche, the competitive exclusion principle may not always apply. I'm intrigued by the possibility of keeping a variety of isopod species in this microvarium. If I introduce one or maybe a few male representatives of different species to this enclosure, they will likely coexist quite well as long as I make sure that there are sufficient resources for all involved. This could potentially make for a very interesting display. What do you think? Should I try that? Or should I stick with just one species and have a reproducing population in here? Before I set up the enclosure so that we can see what the finished product looks like, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons. One aspect of being a patron that I really like is that patrons can post questions in advance of live streams. And that way, whether or not you can participate live in the stream, you can be sure that I will answer your question. If you'd like to help the continued creation of my videos for as little as $1 a month, please click the link at the end of the video or in the description. And now, let's set up this microvarium. The first thing the instructions say to do is take the piece of compressed sphagnum moss and hydrate it. It says to put it into a small bowl of water, preferably dechlorinated, and this is filtered with activated carbon, so that fits the bill. And then it says to add the micrograzer foundation as per the template. So you look at the template here, it says to put it under the Isopod Lodge's guide. I really like how the instructions are made for people who haven't really done this kind of thing before. I think that's great. Make it really accessible. So put the micrograzer foundation in to the enclosure. I'm not sure where I set my safety blade here. Set it down somewhere. Maybe I left it upstairs when I went up there. Hardwood based, no coniferous wood, 2 sources of calcium, a source of nutrition. So we'll get that in there. Gonna flatten that out. Looks like that has some pretty nice goodies in there for the isopods. Okay. Now we add the cork pieces. Let's see. I'm going to put one piece right there, so that they're up against abutting the moss, so to speak. And where's that little botanical, that piece of the pod? I think I knocked it to the ground earlier. There it is. That's going to be my food dish. This side has more contrast, but this side is probably going to work better as a food dish because it's more concave. So I'm going to set it right there. I really do like using certain objects as food dishes for display enclosures with isopods. Let's see. Maybe I'll put that right there. Kind of stack this so it's going a little bit higher, maybe like that. Try that. Okay, so the moss looks like it's expanded enough, and it does recommend squeezing it out so it's not too wet, of course. I'm going to do that. That looks about right. And it seems to fit perfectly right there. Pretty nice so far. And now it says it's time to add the isopods. I'm not going to do that, of course, right away because I'm still deciding what to do. But I have some springtails that I put in here. These are from, hopefully you can see some of them running around in there. This is from my rubber ducky isopod enclosure, which is also a display enclosure, and so I can see a ton of springtails running around in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of moss from that setup in here to just kind of kickstart everything, microfaunally speaking. There we go. And that's looking pretty nice. Let's get a side view on there as well. Yep, that's looking pretty cool. So I can't wait until I put those isopods in there. Thanks for watching. I post videos every Friday with live streams on Wednesdays. Please feel free to share, rate, comment, and if you haven't already,
subscribe.
And then tap the bell for notifications all so you don't miss my next video.